If your vision is clear, really don't compensate on your vision. Just go chase your dream and then build your own product.
But the big parts is just listening and understanding the people that you're talking to and making sure that you truly understand what they're challenged with and what the solution should be and how do we become successful together.
People is your primary focus. If you build a nice app and it's not being used by any, the value is zero.
Today we are joined with three wonderful individuals. First is Joseph, Chief Digital Officer at Capital Farm Credit. Then we have Oleksandra, Chief Delivery Officer of North America here at Andersen, and Brandon Paxton, Strategic Business Director at Andersen.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Joseph, let's talk about AgriNext and why we are here today with this project. From a digital perspective, what key objectives did you set out for this?
I think our primary goal with AgriNext, Noah, is to create a one login, one portal for all of our customers. That's been our primary objective. So you could think of us providing a seamless experience, bringing in all the aspects of what a typical customer, would really think of. We applied design thinking concepts to really solving for what are the customer-centric capabilities they would like to have as we come through an experience or applying loan with capital, So we went through a design thinking exercise to really think about all aspects of the features, capabilities that you need to really log in and self-serve as a customer, and also try to tap in any kind of support you need, any kind of relational things that you want to reach out to capital. It'll be one single portal for a customer to log in and service all of those capabilities.
Absolutely. That's very important, especially in today's world. So, Joseph, how do you think this will change the way your members interact with Capital Farm today?
AgriNext is a platform which we were envisioning to be developed for not just the current customer base, but for also the future customer base, right? That's why we adopted the name Next, is really to focus on the next level ag financing and build for you. So you can see the tagline really focusing on the next level cloud adoption platform, where we wanted to give them a seamless experience, and it's mobile ready as well. So I believe most of the new generations are on mobile. So we wanted to really build a platform doesn't serve the current customer base, but also the future customer base. So we are looking into the future to see how can this be a cloud platform that is scalable, secure, more secure, a simple, easy experience for a customer, and that can serve any future generations as well, with more mobile capabilities and also some of the AI advancements that come in. We wanted to build a platform that is accommodating all of those AI advancements that you want to deliver through the platform.
Awesome. Now, what features are you most excited about?
I'm going to answer this from a capital's perspective. I think the biggest feature that we are currently trying to leverage using AgriNext platform is our KYC, which is Know Your Customer, because we have been really adopting platforms that are more focused on how the transaction of a loan happens, a loan application transaction. How can a service really happen with the customer? But there's not been a real thought about us taking a step further to understand our customer needs, So Know Your Customer is kind of our strategic approach to really understand what is our current and the future needs of a customer. How can we be proactive in servicing them? Because we don't just make loans, but we also have other products and services that we also offer. And the good example is insurance, right? So can we be a little more proactive by understanding our customer base and also be proactive in servicing some of our products over to them? So that way they are not looking, but we are the ones that are just asking them the right question at the right time and servicing them. So we wanted to really focus on all of the features that enable us to really serve our customer for their best interest.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important thing, is the customer experience and improving that. Oleksandra, I wanted to pass it over to you about those features. What's the most impressive to you?
Well, given the starting point, having the single sign-on, as Joseph already mentioned, was one of them, obviously. But in general, with the design thinking, the whole Know Your Customer approach, and combining so many features and new opportunities and new added value under one hood of this unified portal actually creates this, I would call it unified customer journey experience, and that drives the engagement, which is absolutely essential for the business. And I would add on top that we built a solid technical foundation that will allow this product to evolve together with the organization. It means adding new modules, adding new dashboards, integrations, everything you can think of.
Wonderful. As you speak about the future, AI is huge. What new technologies like Gen I, or when new technologies like Gen AI emerge, there's usually a lot of buzz around the words, the topic. How do you decide what's worth investing in?
I'm going to speak from my experience. I think initial stages of my career, I think working part of many organizations, I think there have been a previous pattern where you try to fit a business challenge into a technology, right? It's us really forcing business solutions to go into a technology framework. But I think we have evolved to a point where we finally have realized, no, I don't think like any business can fit into a technology. I think technology needs to fit into business. So I think even with the latest advancement of Gen AI, I think I'm always trying to build the maturity within the organization by making them ask the right questions to make sure like what business problem are we trying to solve? If we are leveraging Gen AI, what's going to be the outcome? What's going to be the value? So we are more focused on solving the business challenges that we have today with technology. And the same applies to Gen AI. Today is Gen AI and tomorrow it could be any other new technology that comes in and provides a huge value. But I think the question and the philosophy has never changed. It's about us asking the right question. Is this technology a fit for capital? Is this technology fit for the current business problem? So I think that will be a much more a possible framework, because then you are really investing on the right places.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's huge going forward with modernization. I believe every company has a technology piece to it these days. Oleksandra, can you also answer this one and mention Andersen's approach to evaluating certain technologies and why we use them?
Obviously, I would say that the approach would be very similar. From the personal perspective, I would rather consider hype and buzz around whatever technology, not AI only, as a free market research. You can see where the attention flows, but it doesn't mean necessarily that there also lies the value. However, if at Andersen and personally, if we have to think about the innovation, I would rather consider I would call it smaller bites innovation, controlled innovation over chaotic approach, or even like gambling, like let's do it just because it's a hype. And Joseph is absolutely right. So first you consider, is a strategic fit. Does it drive your business KPIs, or is it just a vanity metric you want to use? Does it fit into your current organization and operations? Because if you would introduce, for example, Gen AI, and it will disrupt all your business processes and work of the teams and operations and the existing products, it doesn't make any sense. And probably the third one is about how we measure the success, because for each innovation, it's very important to set some expectation, ideally measurable expectations and success criteria upfront, and get the data as soon as possible to validate those results against those set metrics. So I would say this is very important, and this is how we approach innovation even at Andersen internally, because obviously we do have several AI projects for internal use.
Wonderful. By the way, Joseph, what technology do you see in the agricultural lending space really evolving over the next 5 years?
I think I'm pretty excited about the advancements in edge computing, and with a combination of agentic AI, because any banking institution, any financial institution, we run with deficits, a lot of softwares that are expiring or about to expire, So we are really excited about the agentic AI, because that's kind of a cherry on top of all the multi-level architecture that you are building with open APIs, with all the integrations and automation you have in place. But finally, agentic AI is going to just use some of the intelligence that's available in the market to streamline some of your processes that's always out there. So I think because of a combination of platforms that we use either on the core banking side or for other business processes, I think a combination of edge computing and agenting AI will be more impactful for us.
Joseph, one more question related to the technology piece. No matter the industry, the area, or an application specifically, what new tech has really impressed you when it came onto the scene?
How about I answer it from the personal perspective, right? I always enjoyed virtual reality, any VR technologies. Imagine where you are in a place where you always have wondered, you had a dream to be in that place, but finally technology is taking you to give you an experience that's immersive, right? It's just not just an experience where you see a video or a 2D format. It's just a three-dimensional, multi-dimensional, immersive technology that's really taking you to be in Paris, taking a roller coaster ride. It's all of those funs where you are just in your couch and you get to experience all of it with technology. So I think personally that really excites me, and I see a lot of value on that evolving as well. And at the same time, I think edge computing is going to be a game changer as well. I think more of the computing power rolled over to the edge devices is going to be impactful for any industry. You combine the advancements of AI, edge computing, and digital twins. That's impressive. So it's not just one technology. I think putting few technologies into a mix for any industry, it's going to be a game changer. I'm really looking forward for what we have in the future.
Awesome. Now, Joseph, your leadership style implies collaboration across many departments. You're in contact with different stakeholders, both business and IT. How do you make sure everyone shares the same goals and initiatives?
Here at Capital, I think we have always been much more strategic when it comes to building roadmaps, like running projects, etc. So today, our focus is Vision 2030, which focuses on smart growth, innovation, outreach, and people. Those are the 4 focus areas. So you can imagine all of those 4 focus areas is our strategic initiatives that are aligned with these 4 focus areas. And we have a team, a strategic operations team that really keeps us accountable for how we operate on those things. So we really strike a balance between our overall strategy for Vision 2030 when it comes to delivering innovation projects, right? AgriNext is just an outcome of our overall strategic alignment. So I think since we are strategically aligned with a more mature framework or how to execute the overall strategy, I think we always make sure the people side of is always in touch. We have weekly sync-ups, we have monthly sync-ups, we have quarterly sync-ups, so that really keeps us back as focusing on how do you align these efforts to better deliver your Vision 2030. So I think it's been very successfully executed in the last 3 years, and we are also in the outlook of making a successful 5-year roadmap.
Amazing. And I think 2030, I can't wait to see what's next for AgriNext. Oleksandra, some of these approaches remind me of Andersen. Tell me more.
Well, what Joseph just said is absolutely 100% resonating with, I believe, into and what I try to build in the delivery department at Andersen, which means it's, I would rather call this leadership style orchestrated collaboration, where we as well share the joint and shared understanding of why, what is the North Star, what the ultimate goal we try to achieve there. And it's for me more important than rather giving some what to do, clear tasks, because it just kills the creativity basically. And I would also add on top that today, to be a successful leader and talking to multiple departments, driving multiple initiatives, it's super important to have this translator, so-called, to translate business strategy into delivery language and vice versa, keep everyone aligned. And we also have our alignment rituals like meetings daily, weekly, reporting, roadmap sessions, etc., etc. So this is very, very important. But again, to make a small resume of what I was trying to bring here up. Creativity needs air and needs just a higher alignment instead of giving the precise tasks and instructions.
Joseph, What do you think develops a strong leader today?
I think a strong leader is well defined where he believes and he also lives by the values. It's more focused on the qualitative side of it, not the quantitative. It's not about what you do, but how you do that. How do you bring people along with you? And I also think like the strong leaders that I have been fortunate to work with always invest on people. It's not an investment on technology or a resource or a partnership. They invest on people. They really kind of provide the empathy that's necessary in today's organizations, because the one good thing as a digital officer I can see is the connections that technology brings, at the same time the separation or the distance that it also creates between people. I mean, we are not talking like this every day. So we are in phone, we are in technology. So I think it's very important to bring the closeness with the people. And strong leaders always have a futuristic focus. I'm not solving challenges for today. I'm solving and building capabilities for tomorrow. So it always have an outlook. And I think it's also the accountability. Like you just need to be accountable for mistakes, failures. Fail quick is a theology I think all strong leaders have executed. They don't hesitate to just accept the mistakes and move forward. So I think the people aspect, the long-term vision, and investments on the strategic things and accountability are few areas, and especially the values. Here at Capital, we believe we are a family, so we trust each other, and then we deliver values because we have a commitment. Those are our four things that we are focused as our core values. So I think living up to that really builds strong leaders within organizations.
Absolutely. Failure creates learning experiences, and that's how we innovate and improve, right? Another question for maybe both of you. Today, companies strive to ensure inclusion, accessibility, and digital solutions. Everyone should be able to use a product, and that's just as important as the innovation itself. How do you make sure your software works for all members of the organization?
I think the important aspect of even building a product, right, is the overall vision of a product. I would say the AgriNext product is a vision that we were able to craft 3 years before, with clear indications from customer surveys we conducted, with interviews and internal discovery we have done with our own staff, with market analysis that we are able to do. So it's a combination of how well do you really craft a vision based on data, not based on facts and not on emotions, And also, it's not just crafting a vision, but also making sure the vision is not compensated by technology. Because we went in a journey of exploring available products in the market to evaluate whether the already available products can satisfy our vision. And we could have literally said, okay, it checks 80% of my vision. Can I go and buy that instead of building? The answer is no. That's what we were pretty clear on. If your vision is clear, really don't compensate on your vision. Just go chase your dream and then build your own product. So I think the success of a product is if your vision is well cleared, I think the outcomes are already there. And the second aspect to it is the people centricity. Whenever we create products, we need to ensure like we place the customer at the center. We place our employees at the center. So whenever we are building capabilities, we apply the design thinking to understand what would be their expectation. How can I live as a customer for one single day and ask you questions about, hey, I need mobile friendliness, I need notification, I need easy pay, I need simple service, Those are things I will be asking when I apply loan with capital. So how can I apply those customer-centric ask and thinking into the product? So when you really invest on the design thinking aspect of it, the outcomes are really valuable. So what you create is finally what the customer has obviously been looking for years. And I think with all the advancements in technology, I think people nowadays are familiar. They are very familiar on how to really leverage a mobile app and just go apply and then look for their own information. I think we are in the age of like easy adoption of technology and advancement. So I don't think it would be a big hurdle if you have a clear execution, if you have a customer-centric thinking applied to it.
Absolutely. And with the history of your great leadership at Capital Farm, what advice would you give to people who are just starting their leadership journey?
I think the number one is really be open to learn and listen. both are equally important. So as you learn, you also listen and you understand business, because you can never be a leader until you are planted into the values, and the type of business which you are involved, and make investments on people. Again, if you're a leader, you're not just managing you. You are managing a team, you are managing people, you are managing an organization. So every effort that you take doesn't need to be self-centered. It needs to be like outward focused. It can't be inward focused. So I think as a leader, it's both listening, learning, and learning the skills that really bring you up to speed to be called as a people leader. So those are the few things which I have really learned from my own career.
Oleksandra?
I will build on top by saying that the leaders today should be innovative, creative, but also they have to have a courage to rethink the existing things, existing processes, and probably some biased things that probably exist in their personal life or in their organization or in their products. So you also need this stable foundation for data-driven decision-making on top to stay predictable for your stakeholders, and basically like this courage and curiosity that I would say are two things that are very important.
Wonderful. And I'm excited for the 2030 roadmap with your wonderful leadership that you've already established. I think it's going to be a great future to come. So, Joseph, you started your career as a software engineer and now lead digital strategy at one of the largest rural lending cooperatives in the USA. What inspired you to expand that focus and explore the business side of things as well?
No, in the initial stages of my career being a software engineer, I was really focused on learning technologies, like a deeper approach on learning the concepts behind technologies, the frameworks that are involved, the best practices that these technologies are involved to really build business apps, simple apps, and one-off apps, standalone apps. But I think I didn't do well. It's because the realization came at a later part of my career, really understanding what value does these apps bring to an organization that invests on technology, right? So I think the shift in my strategy has been like, instead of learning deeper into technology, I started learning wider set of technologies. So it's a broader perspective of understanding technologies and the implication of technologies on business. So that's when I really moved from being a technology partner or a technologist to be a business partner, where I saw a great outcome on the business end.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Wanted to pass it to Brandon. With your military background, sir, you've made some significant career transitions as well. What do you think motivates someone to explore a new path with sometimes a completely different direction?
First, I'd probably say complacency kills. So the big thing with, my military experience was in specific to like the infantry, for example, is you kind of had to be a jack of all trades. There was always constant things changing and just improvising and adapting and overcoming those obstacles. And it kind of just almost became somewhat of an addiction. So when things start to get a little easy, they kind of become boring, and then you feel like you're not challenging yourself, and then you're really not growing anymore. And so prior to Andersen, I was in a space where it was a lot of off-the-shelf solutions. So you can master the product pretty well and understand it, and that's great. But it becomes kind of a little mind-numbing. So the really great thing about Andersen is they're doing custom solutions. So every day I wake up and go to work, we could be talking about a totally different project each day. And it could even be in the same industry. It could be in the financial services, but one day we're talking about a web application that's going to revolutionize business. And then the next day it's, let's do the mobile version now. So it's just the constant changing, I think, is what what draws me in.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Also, Brandon, in your role, you've worked with business partners from different industries. How often do you apply lessons from those projects into your current role?
Well, I think, business is business at the end of the day. And I think I always even took the approach, even when I decided to go into college after the military, it's okay, you could go to business school, and while there's great information in business school is, a great foundation for a lot of things, I kind of wanted to focus more on the people side of things and focus into psychology of it, because at the end of the day, 2 + 2 will equal 4, the money will add up, but it's all about the people, and the people are the ones making the decision. So I think, working across multiple different industries, it doesn't matter what the business is. It doesn't matter, what the actual maybe outcome will be. We'll measure that. We'll define that. But the big parts is just listening and understanding the people that you're talking to, and making sure that you truly understand what they're challenged with, and what the solution should be, and how do we become successful together.
Absolutely. Awesome. Now, Joseph, as Chief Digital Officer for Capital Farm, largest lending cooperative in the USA, what are your top priorities right now?
You said digital officer, so digital first is our top priority. And we have 3 main focus areas. Our primary focus is customer first. We are building digital first capabilities by placing customer at the center. Like, what are their expectations when they want to have a seamless digital experience when they have transactions with us. And the second focus is data first. With the evolution of AI, we have been thoughtful on defining a well-thought data strategy for the next couple of years, and how we can leverage and cultivate the value of data through the advancements in AI as well. So that's our second focus. And as Brandon mentioned, I completely echo. We are in a people business. People first is our, even though it's the third focus area, it's also equally a primary focus area, is leveraging the talent we have within the organizations, growing the talent within the organizations, growing the partnership like Andersen, and finding and leveraging partnership that really brings value as we pursue our digital first roadmap. And the third is about building relationship within Farm Credit. Farm Credit has more than 55 Farm Credit associations and also other entities that are part of the Farm Credit system. So it's a big system. And we always look forward to building relationship, collaboration, and innovating together as a team. So I think with these 3 primary focus areas, our next 3 years is going to be very productive and laser focused.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Joseph. Now, you've been involved in every part of IT throughout your career, planning, budgeting, working with vendors, delivering solutions as well. In your view, what really makes a digital initiative successful?
I think we're going to answer it again. It's people. We are in the people business, and people are our greatest asset. You can't ignore the value of the individuals that are part of the organization, the customers we serve, the partners we work with, the Farm Credit system leaders that we partner. So it's always people. I always refer to an analogy by defining the Uber experience, right? You take an app and you say like, hey, this is the exact time I need a cab to be picking up from my airport and just drop me at home. And you define the specifics of it, like what kind of car do you want, what time do you want, and all of it. That's going to save you a bunch of effort on your experience. When you are at the airport, coming out of an airplane with a lot of frustration, you have a cab ready. But look at the experience you have. Then you're talking to an individual who you feel safe. You're just talking with a human who will make sure like he'll places you safely back home. So that's the kind of transaction. Whenever I say digital first, it's always like how to leverage the best advancement in technology to remove some of the frustrations we have at the very front, and then leverage it with people, like bring the best of both. So at Capital, we are relationally strong. So you can imagine like combining the relationship that we have built throughout these years with a digital first outlook. So we want to combine the best of technology and people put together. So I would say like people is your primary focus. If you build a nice app and it's not being used by any, the value is zero.
I love that answer. That's why we're all here today. People, right? Brandon, if you could add your thoughts on the digital initiative side, love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, I think that's probably Joseph said it best, and I couldn't said it any better. But what I mean by that is the fact that we partnered so well is just because I believe that Capital Farm values service just as much as we value service. And so we're just on the same page. And when Joseph came in with his ideas and a very strategic roadmap as well, you talk to many different companies and clients all the time. And while they're all great in their different ways, one of the things about Joseph and his team was they had a plan, and it wasn't just a plan that they talked about at lunch. You could tell it was very well thought out, and it wasn't just even in 5 months or 6 months. I mean, this was years out in advance. I mean, they're very forward thinking, but again, it comes back to the people being first and how to service. And for us, that was easy because we just reciprocated back on that. We just listened to exactly what Joseph and the team and Capital Farm wanted, and then we just went to work for them and mimicked their values and service and people first.
Amazing. Joseph, you had plenty of options when choosing a software partner. What made you decide on partnering with Andersen?
That's an important question, Noah, because we have a well-thought vendor selection process, and we didn't make an exception when we are looking for a partner to build our customer-first platform. I think we went through a certain selection criteria. If you think about it, we want a partner who is well-known on the fintech space, who has the necessary technology expertise, who have a best delivery model, because that's important. You can be highly strategic, but if you couldn't deliver the strategy that you are looking for, I think it doesn't bring value that we intend to. So we were looking for a best delivery partner. We wanted to see who has a presence in the US, but at the same time has a cost-effective, support model. And we also wanted to see, this is on the qualitative side, we were very laser focused on how can we find a partner that culturally fits our needs, And that's why we really, since the beginning of our journey, I think Andersen really checked all those boxes for us. And we wanted to really build a long-term partnership, not just a one-time investment. That's why customer first has always been our focus, is because we want to really not just build capabilities, but also relationship and partnership for a long-term strategy. So I think Andersen really came in as a fit. Now I think the relationship has been like more than 20 months today. I can comfortably say I think we found the best partners we could ever ask or just ask to drive our strategy. So we are really pleased to find Andersen coming in really clearly well on our scope.
And what do you value most about the collaboration with Andersen Capital Farm?
I think the partnership side is just the openness to listen. Because if you are at the place to really solution something, build a new product, the first thing you need to really value is how good are you in listening, Do you really understand the business? What are we trying to solve? The why behind the overall journey of the initiative? I think there's going to be a cost that's going to go into this. There's a lot of resources that will be engaged. But before all that goes into place, I think the best thing is how your partner is able to appreciate and listen to some of your business challenges and really appreciative of your outcome. Like the success of a partner and the partnership is really comes from the outcome that they try to solve for a business or for a customer, right? I think since the beginning, I think Andersen really understood the why behind the whole thing and the value Farm Credit brings to its own customer base. So I think it's a well-sought partnership.
Absolutely. Wanted to ask you, Brandon, just on the partnership and relationship side, how does Andersen really look at long-term engagements moving forward?
Well, it's definitely probably, I'd say the big one would be the communication. And that's another thing that part of, listening, that's paramount. But after you listen and then you go ahead and process your thoughts, you now have to communicate, right? And work together and go through that. So I think that's another reason, we've worked together so well. Joseph's always available. His team is always available. Again, you work with different industries and different clients of all sorts. And but one of the things that you can say that really stands out with the Capital Farm team is the communication, the reliability. When you ask for something, there's no need to, keep following up with it. Things are just executed as such. And I think that's just because it's a very calm, healthy culture and environment of listening and communicating and delivering, because everybody has put, servicing each other, at the forefront.